no.
The idea of the Goosebumps sequel has proven misguided. So far, the sequels have followed two formats, neither of which work. The first is to follow the monster, where the antagonist is the same but the protagonists change with each book. And the problem there is that, since we follow the point of view of the protagonist, we are reintroducing a threat that the readers are already familiar with, which makes the book boring and repetitive. This new kid's gotta learn all the same rules and go through all the same motions. I've already read this. The other format is to follow the protagonist going against a new antagonist, a new threat. The problem with this format is twofold. One, the protagonists come off as idiots when they don't use what they learned from the previous books, when they make the same mistakes over again. Two, none of these Goosebumps kids are marketable. Quick, without looking it up, what was the name of the main kid from You Can't Scare Me? Yeah, that's what I thought. The mud monsters you remember. Nobody remembers Eddie. But now we reach the Haunted Mask 2, and Stein really seems to be making the effort here not to fall into the same traps as his other sequels. Maybe because the first Haunted Mask was the real breakout star of the series, the first big moneymaker. Stein's solution is to return to both the main characters and the main threat of the first book, but take it from a new side angle. Instead of bringing Carly Beth back as our point of view character, we instead follow Steve, one of the bullies from the first book. Steve is a character that has some information about the events of the previous book, i.e. Carly Beth's supernaturally scary mask, but is still in the dark enough that his decisions aren't stupid. Or, not more stupid than your average Goosebumps protagonist. Steve and his bully bud Chuck haven't really chilled out that much over the year between books, but they have at least stopped targeting Carly Beth. Instead, they're releasing squirrels into the girls' locker room at school. As punishment, Steve is assigned to coach the first grade after-school soccer team. Basically an hour-long after-school daycare for these 6-year-olds. Steve is 12, and the only supervisor here, so what's really happening is that one of the school's staff members is bumming the responsibilities of watching these kids onto this other, slightly older child. Something John Mulaney something. These first graders treat Steve like garbage, jumping on him, tearing at his clothes, sticking chewed gum on him, and setting up way too elaborate pranks. Concrete. The kid had a concrete soccer ball. Chuck squinted at me. I could see he still didn't understand. One of the kids lives across the street. He had his friends help roll a ball of concrete to the school, I explained. Painted white and black to look like a soccer ball. Solid concrete. They had it there on the field. They asked me to kick a goal, and I think I broke every bone in my foot. Wow, that is a level of ingenuity well beyond that of first graders. I'm in my 30s, and I don't think I could come up with something like that, let alone paint the concrete ball in a convincing way. I mean, granted, I'm not a professional artist, but my painting skills have to at least be better than a 6 or 7-year-old's. Steve wants to get back at these kids, and this being a Goosebumps book, that means scaring them. And hey, Steve and Chuck have never been more scared than when Carly Beth got them with that mask of hers last Halloween. So they approach her, ask where she got the mask. Carly Beth is very hesitant to tell them because, while Steve is a jerk, she's a good kid and doesn't want Steve's life ruined by an evil artifact. It's not until Steve threatens to break some of Carly Beth's stuff that she tells him about the party store and the masks in the back room. But please don't, they're evil. Steve and Chuck ignore Carly Beth's warning and head to the party store, only to find it closed, shut down for good. However, while looking around the place, they find an open cellar door leading into the store's basement, and inside a bunch of crates full of creepy Halloween masks, all of them warm to the touch. Score! Not only can we get a mask, we can steal one, no money down. But then they hear something walking around on the floor above them. Ah, crap, it's the creepy shopkeeper, in a Dracula cape for some reason. Chuck books it out of there, but Steve gets stuck for a bit, with the man threatening to call the police and his parents and McGruff the crime dog. For an evil wizard, this guy is pretty chill about some kids breaking into his place. Anyway, Steve finds an opening and makes a run for it, escaping the closed-down shop and getting home. And it just so happened he managed to hide one of the masks under his shirt, and only now does he see what he grabbed. The old man mask. I took the mask of the creepy old man. I smoothed out its long strings of yellow-white hair. Holding it by big, pointy ears, I lifted it in front of my face and examined it closely. A single white tooth hung over the bottom lip. A brown wormhole poked through the center of the tooth. The long nose had gobs of green dripping from each nostril. A square patch of skin was missing just above the forehead. I could see gray skull bone in the hole. The whole face was creased and lined. The flesh was a sickly green. Ah, he grabbed the Mitch McConnell mask. Nice. Oh, that's not fair. I'm sorry. This haunted mask is far less evil than Mitch McConnell. This is the other way the Haunted Mask 2 is an efficient sequel. We don't have a reoccurring antagonist. The original Haunted Mask is a no-show, and instead we get a new but related mask with somewhat different capabilities and weaknesses. It maintains the concept of the Haunted Mask while keeping it fresh enough so readers don't know exactly what's going to happen. So here's the plan. Steve has told the soccer kids that there will be a Halloween party at the nearby Carpenter Mansion, a very creepy abandoned house in the neighborhood. Easy to trick yourself into thinking it's haunted. Steve, being a 6th grader who's looking after the kids as punishment, naturally can overrule the parents of these 6-year-olds and dictate how they spend their Halloween. When all the kids are gathered together in front of the mansion, Steve will jump out wearing the mask, scare them. Question mark, question mark, question mark. Profit. Well, no time like the present, so Steve tries on the mask. And we waste no time. That thing melds to Steve's skin immediately and gets to work. Carly Beth's mask was that of an evil monster, and it made her feel like an evil monster. Likewise, Steve's mask is of an old man, and it makes him feel like an old man. Oh! A sick groan escaped my throat. My hands dropped limply to my sides. I suddenly felt so tired, so weak, so totally weak. Every breath was a struggle. I bent over. My body began to tremble. I felt so weak and old. Was this how an old man felt? Why do I suddenly have this urge to suck on a Werther's original and watch Matlock? So now Steve feels like shit, and he can't get the mask off. He doesn't want his parents to see him like this, so he hides himself up in his room, not even coming down when his mom offers cookies, which is actually an important plot point. These are Chekhov's cookies. Steve, I bought you those black and white cookies you love, your favorites. Do you want one? Maybe it'll make you feel better. My stomach growled. Those cookies are my favorite, dripping with chocolate icing on one side and vanilla icing on the other. Maybe later, I moaned. So Steve needs a game plan. Okay, Carly Beth was clearly telling the truth when she said the masks were no good. Steve needs to get to her, find out what she knows. Steve will tell his parents that the mask is part of his Halloween costume. He's going as an old man, so getting out of the house like this isn't an issue. And hey, the Carpenter Mansion is on the way to Carly Beth's, so we might as well scare the soccer kids while he's at it. Everything's turning up Millhouse. So he lets his parents know he's leaving for Halloween festivities. He makes his way down the street and finds the kids in front of the mansion. Time for scares! I raised both hands together in the air as if I planned to strangle them all. My cane flew out of my grasp. I lost my balance and tottered over backwards. Oh! I let out a groan as I hit the sidewalk sitting up. They all cried out. But not in fear. They cried out because they were worried about me. Helping hands reached down to pull me to my feet. So the kids are not at all afraid of this old man because he's an old man. Yeah, there's some details like the exposed bit of skull and the snot, but the response from these first graders is compassion and a desire to help, which is hilarious because it means these kids aren't actually a bunch of rowdy ruffians, they just hate Steve specifically. The kids help old man Steve to Carly Beth's house. Carly Beth is confused and a little scared. An old man coming to your house and demanding to see a 12-year-old girl is just about the worst image you could project at this moment, but eventually she realizes it's Steve in one of those damned haunted masks she warned him about. Carly Beth delivers a well-deserved "I told you so" and gets to work helping Steve. And God bless R.L. Stine, the characters actually act intelligently, using their knowledge gained from the previous book. Carly Beth tells Steve about the unloved, the origin of these masks, and how she got hers off by presenting it with a symbol of love. So let's figure out a symbol of love that applies to Steve. I know, those cookies. Mom bought them just for Steve because she loves her son. They just might work. Mom tisk-tisked. What a shame. Huh? I cried, feeling my heart skip a beat. What do you mean? What's wrong? Mom shook her head. The cookies are gone, she replied softly. The dog found the box this morning and got into it. I'm sorry, guys, but Sparky ate them all. Yes, sadly, the family dog ate the cookies, which means that Steve's symbol of love is gone. Also, the dog is dead. Like, those were clearly chocolate cookies, and Sparky ate a whole box of them. He's super dead. Between this and the ice cream eating dog in Revenge of the Lawn Gnomes, does R.L. Stine just not know that chocolate is toxic to dogs? Do the people at Scholastic not know? You think someone involved in the production of children's literature might go, hey, maybe we should address this so the kids reading don't think it's okay that Fido got into the Oreos? Carly Beth suggests that Sparky could be used as a symbol of love, so Steve picks up the probably dying dog, but it doesn't work. The mask is still stuck on. Okay, let's not panic. Let's head back to the store, try to find the shopkeeper, see if he can help. Give us any additional information. A sensible decision. So Steve and Carly Beth return to the store and find it dark and locked up. The basement is still accessible though, so the two sneak in and start searching through the boxes for any kind of clue. Carly Beth finds an old suit and realizes it pairs up with the old man mask. And when she brings it close to Steve, the old man mask starts to slip off on its own. The mask floats off Steve's head, lands on the costume, restoring it into a complete body. A smile spread over the ugly old face. The suit legs lowered themselves to the floor. The old man performed a little dance, arms flapping, trouser legs hopping, and then he turned away from us. The head attached to the suit, the trouser legs bent at the knees, he shuffled toward the steps. Carly Beth and I both cried out in shock as the old man climbed up the steps and disappeared out the trap door. Six Flags, man. Look, we were all thinking it. Let's just get it out of our system. So Steve is free of the mask, and he and Carly Beth leave to celebrate the rest of Halloween. Oh no, but then a monster jumps out of the bushes. Haha, it's just Chuck. He stole a mask from the shop as well, and he can't seem to get it off. Ooh, happy Halloween or something. Now, once again, I've got to give this book credit for how it formats itself as a sequel. It has the perfect combination of new and old elements to justify itself. I especially like Carly Beth's turn from scared protagonist to knowledgeable survivor, someone who can address the issue of the haunted mask calmly and with intelligence. I greatly appreciate how different this mask was versus the mask in the first book, and I like seeing these secondary characters grow over the course of these books. So, points for all of that. All that said, I found The Haunted Mask 2 to be a rather hollow, uninteresting story. It's the same length as any other Goosebumps book, but it feels like there's maybe half the amount of plot of its sibling books, and it's not in service to any larger ideas. The book is thematically empty. But Greg, you might say, it's a Goosebumps book, they're not deep. And you're right, they're not, but this is a sequel to The Haunted Mask, and that book has some of the strongest intentional theming the series ever had. It's a story about how becoming a bad person isn't the answer to dealing with other bad people. It'll just make you into a monster. Carly Beth is tired of being bullied and takes on this mask to become a bigger bully than the bullies. The mask is symbolic of what Carly Beth thinks she wants to be, a ferocious beast that nobody can push around. And it's only after being that she realizes how horrible it is to be that way. Only then can she reject it. It's a very simple idea, but it's effective and deliberate. The haunted mask is a temptation that you must turn away. That symbolism doesn't carry over here. The old man mask doesn't represent anything that Steve desires. The fact that he grabbed it at random tells you that this specific mask doesn't mean anything to him. Any mask will do for his short-term goals. And his short-term goals don't represent a change for the character. Steve starts as the bully, and his goal is to bully some kids. And then our heroes just stumble onto a solution by accident, without ever really understanding what just happened. So, for my traditional rewrite, the goal here is, how do we give this old man mask the same level of thematic importance as the monster mask from the first book? Why would a child be tempted to be seen as older, more mature? Well, because they want to be treated like an adult. 12 is a weird age. Not quite a little kid anymore, not quite a teenager. You're in this nebulous period of your life, and that can be challenging. And Steve is feeling that hard. The rewrite opens with a montage of Steve in situations where he wished he was older. He wants to see this awesome monster movie with Chuck, but it's PG-13 and they're not allowed in without an adult. Yeah, I know, no movie theater enforces that kind of thing, but roll with me here. He wants to hang out with the cooler junior high kids, but because he's still in elementary school, he has to sit with the annoying kids on the bus. And finally, the soccer thing. Steve isn't coaching the kids, he's assisting the actual coach, and notices that while the little first graders listen to the adult, they don't listen to him. They don't take him seriously as an authority. They just treat him as one of the kids. Steve hates being treated like a little kid. And he's got this teddy bear that he slept with since he was in diapers. And one day, out of prepubescent rage, he throws the teddy bear out with the trash. Now, Halloween is coming, and Steve and Chuck are looking for costumes, so they go to the evil party shop and find the row of evil masks. Steve gravitates to the old man mask. Wow, being a grown-up, could you even imagine? So he shoplifts it. It's still like 3 days till Halloween, so let's have fun with this old man mask. And when Steve puts it on, not only does he look like an old man, he feels a bit like an old man, and can convince people he is an old man. Hey, we can use this mask to get into that PG-13 movie. And with a senior's discount. Hey, screw the PG-13 movie, let's go watch something rated R. So Steve goes around with his old man disguise and uses it to take advantage of things. And the mask does come off the first couple of times. You've got to build up to that stuck as an old man shit. Finally, Halloween. Steve loves Halloween. But as he tries to go trick-or-treating, he discovers that nobody believes he's a kid in an old man costume. They think he's a chaperone or something, and they won't give him candy. Aw, this sucks. So Steve tries to take off the mask, and this time, it won't come off. Also, he's not feeling too great. He's weak and needs to get around with a cane. Steve gets scared and tracks down Carly Beth, and we have the same kind of deal of trying to find a symbol of love. Just, not a dog eating chocolate cookies. When the symbol of love thing doesn't work, Steve and Carly Beth head to the party store and confront the shopkeeper. He tells them that the whole symbol of love thing needs to be more specific. Carly Beth's symbol worked because it represents a rejection of this monster side of herself. Steve will need a symbol that represents a rejection of his desire to be an adult so quickly, something symbolic of youth and childhood. Aha! The teddy bear. But the garbage man came this morning. The bear is gone. And there's a ticking clock. Literally, Steve's ticker. His body just isn't old now, but it's that of an old man at the end of his life. Steve could just keel over at any moment. So Steve and Carly Beth go to the junkyard. There's probably some scary guard dogs. Oh, but thank goodness, Steve finds his teddy bear. And upon hugging it, the mask slips off. Steve is safe. He realizes he shouldn't have been so quick to reject his youth, shouldn't have been so eager to grow up. Steve and Carly Beth smile, go home. You can have the same cliffhanger with Chuck wearing a monster mask. The end. It could use a few more drafts, but it follows up on the haunted mask as metaphor of internal conflict idea properly. It decreases the original book's more eye-rolling nonsense elements like Steve being in charge of these little kids, and there's just more story than the actual Haunted Mask 2. As is, this book is pretty middle of the road, doing nothing egregiously bad, but not doing anything exceptionally good either. I give The Haunted Mask 2 a pack of Hydrox cookies out of 10.